tank is completely on for the Browns, and they have a decent path to the number one pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. So I want to run through the updated draft order, the path to picking number one, and then if the Browns were to get the number one pick in the draft, what they should do with it. But first, here's where things stand according to Tankathon going into Week 18. The Browns currently have the number 3 overall draft pick. The tiebreaker is strength of schedule. The easier the schedule you had based on your opponent's records, the earlier you pick when breaking a record tie. So that's why the Patriots are slotted to be number 1 and the Browns are number 3 amongst the 4, 3, and 13 teams. Now, if the Browns were to win a game, they would join all these 4-win teams going from the Jags at number 5 to the Bears at number 9. But here's the path for Cleveland to get all the way to the number 1 draft pick, because Cleveland, like we just went over, is picking 3rd, and they've got the Patriots ahead of them. They've got the Titans ahead of them, and both those teams are bad. So why would we have any belief that either one or both are going to lose in Week 18, which would have to happen pretty much for the Browns to jump up, because I don't think the strength of schedule is going to dramatically change with just one more week of games put into it. So before we look at that path, if you want the Browns to get that number 1 pick, help us reach 40,000 subscribers. Selfishly, I ask that you join the channel because we are growing like crazy, and I want to get to 40K before New Year's. It'd be an awesome way to end 2024 because 2024 kind of sucked for this team. But hey, let's end on a high note here. Hit that sub button down below. So let's go over the path, and that is Patriots winning and the Titans winning. Now, the good news is the Browns are going to play a Ravens team that has something to play for. If the Ravens lose and the Steelers win, Baltimore goes from hosting a playoff game to playing on the road. So they're going to go full throttle, and they are going to beat the crap out of DTR or Bailey Zappi. Let's just be real. Patriots are playing the Bills. Why would the Patriots have any shot against the Bills? Because the Bills are locked into the 2 seed. And I think they are going to sit Josh Allen and their starters. And I think Drake may have a chance at beating Mitch Trubisky at home. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. So we've seen a lot of teams kind of F around and win games at the end of the year. Remember 2 years ago when the Texans had the first overall pick and then Davis Mills had the audacity to throw a Hail Mary that was caught by, I'm pretty sure, Jordan Akins, and then they got the 2-point conversion to give the Bears the number 1 pick. So this stuff does happen, and it's not just once in a blue moon. Now, as for the Titans, why would they win? Well, they are at home, and they are playing a Texans team that is locked into the 4 seed. And Brian Callahan is trying to end some kind of positivity on the year because it's been a disastrous year 1 for him in Nashville. So both these teams are playing backups. Both these teams are at home. I don't think it's a 0% chance the Browns come out with the number 1 pick in the draft. Now, the issue is we need both these things to happen. And that's where it starts to get a little bit more semi-unrealistic. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these teams wins and the Browns go from 3 to 2. But for both these teams who have been so good at losing all year long to magically at the same time figure out winning, it's probably a little bit of a reach. But I would not rule out one of these teams winning. And then the Browns go from 3 to 2, like I said. So it's at least improving 1 spot in the draft. So let's say the Browns do climb into 1 or 2 in the draft order. Should they take a quarterback? That is the number 1 topic right now in Cleveland. Should the Browns take a quarterback if they are picking 1st, 2nd, top 5? I want to explore that and give you guys my answer. First, a quick shout out to our friends over at Z-Biotics. Anyone who may not bounce back after having a night of drinking as well as they used to should listen up. Let's face it, when going out, I have a choice to make. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is until I found Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. So stay in the loop and go to zbiotics.com/chatsports or scan the QR code on screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use code CHATSPORTS at checkout. From Thanksgiving feast to New Year's Eve celebrations, this holiday season is packed with events, but don't let the festivities leave you feeling less than merry. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic can help you savor the night and seize the next day. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use the code chatsports at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring today's episode and our good times. So let me just take it head on right now and say this. Clip it, come back to it in a few years. I, Matthew Peterson, on Monday, December 30th, 2024, would not use a first or second overall draft pick on Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. There. I said it. I said the unpopular opinion for a lot of people because I know the easy solution to the Browns' issues right now is get a quarterback, right? And that's going to fix everything. I don't think one of these quarterbacks can be a instant fix. And that's what people, I think, need to start to grasp. Yes, in most cases, drafting a quarterback first or second is a great solution to your problems. And there's a lot of history of that. I don't believe that's the case with these two quarterbacks. And this might age horribly, and I will be forever remembered as the guy who doubted one of these two future Pro Bowl, All-Pro quarterbacks. But no, I don't think either one is, and this will sound mean, because I do like, there's a lot to like about these two quarterbacks. There's a lot of good skill sets we'll look at in a little bit here, but I don't think either one is truly great enough to be worth a first or second overall draft pick and resurrect a franchise. And that's what the Browns need. So, if you can't do that, then don't force it. I know it's very fun to just hit the quarterback button and you kind of buy a little bit of hope, but to me, I think you're just going to be right back to where you were, which is searching for your franchise quarterback, and now it's 4 straight years of not having a first-round draft pick, essentially. Look at the last 10 first overall picks that were quarterbacks. Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray. Let's just stop right there, right? You got Baker, Goff, Jameis, Andrew Luck, Cam Newton. Those two guys were awesome. Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders as a prospect anywhere near these guys as prospects? No. I mean, majority, if not all these guys were absolute slam dunk, not just the best quarterback in the draft, the best prospect in the draft. I don't think Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is even a top 10 player in this draft class. I look at this as like a save the marriage baby. Mom and dad are getting in a lot of fights, trying to throw up a Hail Mary to save everything. And a common phrase is save the marriage baby, have a baby, and hopefully that makes them fall back in love together. I think taking Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is no different of we're going to chuck up a Hail Mary and hopefully it works because we are running out of options. You can do a lot better with a first overall draft pick than a guy who I don't think is even a top 10 prospect in this draft class. And this next stat, I don't believe Heisman voting is an indicator of your success at the NFL level, but I think this is an interesting nugget. Of the last 10 first overall picks that were quarterbacks we just looked at 30 seconds ago, 7 of them won the Heisman Trophy. 9 finished top 2 in voting. Jared Goff, the only one that didn't. And he's having a really good year right now. Neither quarterback is worth a top 2 draft pick. They were not even top 5 players, in my opinion, in college football this past year. Cam Ward finished 4th in Heisman, so okay. 1 was top 4 if you just go off Heisman voting, which I don't bring up Heisman voting to say, hey, this is how you can immediately determine the best players in college football and how well they will be at the next level in the NFL. No. But I'm just putting it out there as a reference point to the last 10 quarterbacks taken first overall were unanimous no-doubters. These guys are going to be great at the next level. Sometimes they are, sometimes they don't work out. But right now we're talking about 1 or 2 quarterbacks to get taken first overall. That is even top 3 last year in college football. And we're taking first overall? No. I mean, take Dane Brugler for example. The Athletics NFL draft guru. I like him a lot. I think he does a great job. Here's his big board. Cam Ward 16th. Shedeur's 23rd. This is a Hail Mary. You don't use the first overall pick on a Hail Mary. If you want to do a Hail Mary at the 6th overall pick, okay. If it misses, it's not something that sets a franchise back 5 years. Using a first overall pick on a Hail Mary is a horrible idea. You should use the first overall pick on a slam dunk. And there are some slam dunks in this draft class. I think Abdul Carter is going to be incredible. Pairing him with Myles Garrett would be awesome. I think Will Johnson's going to be an all-pro level corner at the NFL. Put him with Denzel Ward, have him take over for Greg Newsome or Martin Emerson if he doesn't bounce back next year. And you've got an incredible secondary. Yes, there are some good things to Shedeur and Cam Ward's game. I'm not here to completely say these guys are going to be awful quarterbacks at the next level. But I am here to say I don't think they are going to be perennial Pro Bowl quarterbacks like first overall draft picks should be. If you are taking Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders with the first overall draft pick, you better believe those guys are going to be elite quarterbacks. If you're taking them because you think they're just going to be solid, good, you are dramatically undervaluing the first overall pick in the draft or even the second overall pick in the draft. You don't use the queen on a chessboard to take out a pawn. Like, you have to make those picks count. You don't want to be picking first or second overall ever again. But if you're there, you better get someone to help us to make sure that does not happen. And I've got one too many doubts about these two quarterbacks to use a first or second overall pick on them. Take Shedeur for example. There's a lot to like about his game. He's got some great playmaking abilities. He makes some really good throws. I don't think he's going to be an awful NFL quarterback, but I've got concerns. For one, 40% of his passes last year at Colorado were either screens or RPOs. Those are some pretty simple complexes and pretty simple throws for a college quarterback to make. How's that going to translate over to the NFL when he's got to make some more difficult downfield passing on a more consistent basis? Took the first overall pick on a guy that runs screens nearly 40% of the time? That's what you use a first overall pick on? No, use a first overall pick on a quarterback that's a difference maker. His average time to throw, by the way, just before we're getting the record straight here, 3.4 seconds. He took 31 sacks. All the time in the world, took 31 sacks. It's just an alarmingly high number. How about Cam Ward? He makes some incredible throws. He's a natural gunslinger. He can make any kind of throw, short, intermediate, deep. He's got great touch. He's got great velocity. There is a lot to like about Cam Ward. However, there are some legitimate concerns. He's got major turnover tendinitis. Like, he is constantly putting the football in harm's way. He takes one too many plays where he tries to be a hero and do it all himself. Those are legitimate concerns at the next level that defenses in the NFL are going to make you pay for. Yeah, maybe ACC defense lets you off the hook, but you think the NFL defense are going to let you off the hook with those kind of plays? No. I fear he might be someone who comes in the NFL and it's kind of like a Vinny Testaverde. 20 touchdowns, but 30 interceptions. Browns legend. If it were up to me, I would trade back, stockpile picks. You've gone 3 years where you have one second-round pick to show for. You need to acquire more young talent. You don't need to put all your chips in for someone that, if they even turn out to be a good quarterback, is probably going to sink in Cleveland based on the surrounding circumstances of a declining offensive line, no running game to count on, and one consistent receiver in Jerry Jeudy. That is not a situation for success. What's probably going to happen is Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders will be successful at their second team like Sam Darnold is right now. Don't bring a quarterback in that's going to fail. I would much rather the Browns get a bunch of good picks. I'm not talking late picks. I'm talking quality first-round picks, second-round picks. Beef up the offensive line. Reset the age there. Add to the pass rushing position. Help the secondary out. And then in 2026, when you feel like you've got a good roster surrounding the quarterback position, go get a quarterback then. Don't force it this year because you're impatient. And I'll leave you with this one last thought when it comes to Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. If the Browns pick second or third, would you want them to trade up to number 1 to take that quarterback? If the answer is no, I don't think you really like that prospect a ton. I think you just want to buy a lottery ticket and hope that they can get you out of a 3-win hole you're in. You have to love the prospect you're taking first overall. not like it because you're fingers crossed hoping this guy can save the franchise. That's a recipe for disaster. Now, what could the Browns get if they pick first overall and want to trade out of it? We've got some, blueprints to go off of. I would love this. I mean, remember Bryce Young coming out of college football, coming out of Alabama? The talk around him going into that draft, miles ahead of the chatter around Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And look how he's faring right now at the Panthers. Do this right here. How about the Jared Goff trade when the Rams trade up with the Titans? Sure, the Titans didn't really do a whole lot with these. That's on themselves for not making the most of it. They got Derrick Henry low-key, though, so that worked out pretty well. Or if you don't pick first overall, let's say you pick second, you pick third, and the team still wants to trade up. The Dolphins got a lot of really good stuff for Trey Lance. Led the way to them getting Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips. Like, they got some studs. How about the Eagles? They traded up with the Browns, as we all remember, for Carson Wentz. Sure, shame on the Browns for not making more and Sasha Brown for not capitalizing on this haul they got. But that doesn't mean the process is wrong here. It just means may not have the right guy making the picks. So please, trade back. If you were picking top 2 and you're the GM of the Cleveland Browns, would you trade back? And before we all say, well, Andrew Berry's the wrong guy making the picks, do we really have a lot to go off of? Like, let's go over some of his early picks. Jed Wills, bust for sure. Greg Newsome, I don't know, picked him 26 overall, starting corner in the NFL. Look who got picked after him. He's one of the better picks at the end of round 1. Not great, but not as bad as they make it out to be. JOK, second rounder, awesome. Martin Emerson, third round pick, bad this year, no doubt about it, but still, I think a good football player. Grant Delpit, good safety. Like, there are some hits, but people just have their narratives in their head and they focus on bad draft picks. Newsflash, you can do that for any GM and make them look like the worst GM with their bad draft picks. It's a crapshoot, guys. But I'd rather have some more chips to the table and spread around the inside of the roulette table than put it all on red, put it all on black. Before we get on out of here, I do want to show some love to the Brown and Orange Club. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us all season long. It's been a tough year watching this team from start to finish. I'm thinking about the Cowboys game. It was so exciting going into it. And then it so quickly went downhill. But a valid argument, we got Brian and then Lawrence, Kathy, and Jim, the latest members of the club. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you want to be a part of the club, hang out with us during our final watch party this Saturday, by the way, when the Browns take on the Ravens from Baltimore.